Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another electrifying episode of Past versus Present. I'm your host, Frankie Historical, his history tour guide, guiding you on this fascinating journey through time. First Present is a unique stage where history and the present collide. We bring together renowned leaders from time and today's world leaders, providing a platform where they can engage in conversation and share their views on matters that shape our world. Tonight we have two truly distinguished guests, both a founder and current president representing the Democratic Party, albeit from radically different eras. Our first guest, a man whose contributions to the United States are immeasurable, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, the third president of the United States, and the founder of the Democratic Republican Party, a man who needs no further introduction, Thomas Jefferson. And in the other corner, a defining figure in the 21st century politics, a man whose career is a testament to the perseverance and commitment to the American people, the 46th President of the United States, a longtime senator and devoted public servant, Joe Biden. Tonight, we're set to embark on a fascinating voyage traversing 2 centuries of democratic values, governance, and the ever-evolving American dream. So, I think it's time we meet our guests at the Historical Library. Let's dive into the past and explore the present. Let's get right into our first topic, which is one of the most monumental moments in American history, the Louisiana Purchase. Jefferson, this monumental land acquisition occurred in your presidency, doubling our nation's size in overnight.
Indeed, it was a defining moment reflecting the ambition of our young nation. We secured the future of generations of Americans with just $15 million. An unbelievable bargain.
Indeed. May I ask, Thomas, what was your thought process on whether or not to purchase Louisiana?
The dream for America was a land of opportunity for an agrarian society of farmers. Although I question the constitutionality of the purchase, it was internally conflicted due to my beliefs of a limited role of federal government. I saw the purchase as an opportunity to expand America, to create a more cultivable land for the people of America.
Man, that must have been a tough decision. However, there are multiple layers to this grand bargain. Let's set the scene. The year was 1803. France, under Napoleon Bonaparte, was gearing up for war with England. The cost of the war was substantial. Lots of money was needed. The plan to build a new French empire in America was proving challenging.
Undoubtedly, Frankie. In fact, the transfer was so complex that we initially sought to purchase only New Orleans. We were surprised as anyone in France offered the entire territory. Napoleon gave up on the American dream to protect France.
Well, I'd say that's a bargain of a millennium.
Imagine waking up in your presidential dairy brief. Good morning, Mr. President. France would like to sell half the continent. Shall we procure it? But seriously, how do these expansionist ideals translate to today's democratic values?
Well, we're not in the market for new territories. Our party does focus on expanding opportunities, rights, and equality for every American. We believe broadening the horizons of what's possible for every individual.
That's a different kind of expansion, isn't it? In my time, it was about geography. Today, it's about opportunities and rights. The evolution of the Democratic Party is truly fascinating.
Indeed it is. From land deals to healthcare reform, from quills to tweets, the party has evolved, but the foundational spirit remains. The spirit of the Louisiana Purchase. But let's not forget, Biden, Jefferson, had the advantage of dealing with Napoleon. You've got Congress, perhaps a tougher crowd. Our next topic is quite a fascinating one, the concept of government power. Specifically, the debate of limited versus strong federal government. Jefferson, during your time, you were an advocate for a limited central authority, weren't you?
Indeed, we were wary of a strong central government, having just fought a war to free ourselves from one. We believed in states' rights and their ability to handle their affairs. The people were closer to the state governments, and these governments were better positioned to understand and address their needs.
To give some context, Jefferson was a leading voice against the Alien and Sedition Acts, which were seen as an overreach of federal power. These acts, enacted in 1798, increased the residency requirement for American citizenship and allowed the president to deport or even imprison non-citizens considered dangerous or from a hostile nation. It also restricted speech critical of the federal government. These laws were highly controversial and deemed unconstitutional by many.
Now there's a hot potato if I ever saw one. But in all seriousness, the Democratic Party today believes in balance. We still support the states' rights and their important role in the governance, but we also see the critical need for strong federal power.
Strong federal government? That seems quite the departure from our original intent.
Biden, can you elaborate on this shift?
Of course. As our nation and the world have grown more interconnected, we face challenges that require a coordinated nationwide response. Take, for instance, the COVID-19 pandemic. It required national strategy for testing, supplying medical equipment, and vaccine distribution. Or consider climate change. It's a global issue that demands unified action. These are matters where a strong federal government can make a real difference.
Perhaps. But doesn't this centralization risk turning a republic into a monarchy?
I assure you, there are no royal aspirations here. But in all seriousness, it's about achieving the right balance, ensuring states have their rights, while the federal government provides the necessary framework for national coordination.
Well, this discussion could fill a library, or at least several Twitter feeds. It's intriguing to see how the concept of government power has evolved from Jefferson's time to Biden's time, highlighting the adaptive nature of our democratic system. Now, let's shift our focus to another cornerstone of modern democracy, political parties. Jefferson, you were one of the founders of the Democratic Republican Party, one of the first parties of the U.S., and the forefather of today's Democratic Party.
That's correct. At the time, we felt the need for a political platform that could represent the rights of individuals and prevent the encroachment of the federal government. It was our antidote to the Federalist parties and Alexander Hamilton's vision of a strong central authority.
Quite the feud, wasn't it? Imagine Hamilton and Jefferson in the same room trying to agree on a lunch hour.
I can see it now. Jefferson advocating for individual sandwich choices, and Hamilton pushing for preset lunch menu for efficiency.
Indeed, that's quite the conundrum. But how do you see the role of political parties today, Biden? Has the Democratic Party strayed far from Jefferson's vision?
It's an interesting question. The core principle of the Democratic Party remains, representing the people and their rights. However, our interpretation of what entails has evolved with time. Today, it's about fighting for economy, equality, social justice, and climate action, among other things.
That seems like a broad agenda. In our time, parties were simpler. The Democratic Republicans advocated for agrarian interests and states' rights, while Federalists supported commerce and a strong national government.
Indeed, times have changed, but that's the beauty of our system. Our parties adapt to reflect the evolving needs of our people.
Well, as long as the people's voices are heard, I suppose the spirit of the Democratic Republicans live on.
That does it. Whether it's a sandwich dispute or a healthcare reform, the essence of our political parties remains the same: to advocate for their constituents and make their voices heard. Well, gentlemen, we journeyed from the 1800s to the 2020s and back again, all without the aid of a time machine. Now, before we wrap up, any last words?
The resilience of our nation is awe-inspiring. Times and parties may change, but the essence of America, a government by and for the people, endures.
Absolutely, Jefferson. We as public servants are merely the cyclists, but it's the people who set the route.
If that's the case, I hope we're not heading uphill anytime soon.
And Biden, just remember, keep your wheels on the ground. Our people are path of our nation. If they call for a change in direction, well, you better just adjust your gears.
Thank you, Jefferson. I'll keep that in mind the next time I go out for a hike.
And with that wheelie piece of advice, well, we close out tonight's show of Past First Present. From geographical expansions to presidential cycling tips, it's been quite a journey, huh? Presidents Jefferson, Biden, your insights have been both enlightening and entertaining. Thank you, guys.
It was my pleasure, thank you. It's not every day I find my thoughts in 21st century politics.
It's not often. It's advice on governance and biking from Thomas Jefferson.
Well, that's the magic of Past First Present. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this historical journey. Until next time, remember, history is just today's news, but with an extra scoop of chocolate chip ice cream on top.